increase your limiting factor by 1, it will lead to an increase in contribution, right? We could say this is a shadow price or dual price. Don't forget, ICANN may decide to use one in English. Then you now ask yourself which one is dual price, which one is dual price. The shadow price, I know. Tolulope will say, dual price. Oh, dual price is shadow pricing, right? Now, we'll look at this question. This question is adopted from one of the ACCA as well as ICANN question, right? Looking at this question tonight, we must finish it tonight. I'm just using this opportunity to wait for those who actually went for prayers so that they can join us, right? So while we are waiting, let's quickly read this question, right? And analyze it. Don't forget, who can tell me, when you see a PM question, what is the first thing you need to do?
Look at the
When you see,
question and the requirement.
thank you. You say what?
Look at the question and the requirement.
Thank
What you are
you.
expected to do on the question given.
Thank you. Thank you. That is a very good one. Thank you. And there's no magical. It is not magic, right? It is what it is, right? You just need to read the requirement, read the required. What did they ask yourself? What did they say I should do in this question? Is it a limiting factor question or CVP question or relevant costing or this? You need to firstly see if you understand the requirement, it is assumed that you have solved. If you understand the required class, please pay attention to this. If you understand the required, it is assumed that you have solved. It is not even assumed, right? You have solved 70% of the question. You are better than someone who just collects question and starts because you see one thing that you just started. No, no. Calm down. Read the required. Oh, this is what this question is. Understand the required for. Use 10 minutes, even if it is 20 minutes, just use it to dissect the requirement of the question. So once you understand the required, I believe that you can solve that question. See, you will be better than someone who just collect question and start solving, right? Now, you already understand the required, and someone who just collects question and start solving, right? The hours that you will spend in the minutes you will spend in that question, right, or the hours will be lesser than someone who just collects question and start solving because it is variance analysis without understanding the required, right? Please, it is very important. Very, very, just calm. Oh, what is the required? Just flip through the required of all the questions. Oh, okay. Okay, this one is limiting factor. Okay, this one is relevant costing. Okay. You know, you feel relaxed and ask yourself, oh, what are the principles? Oh, relevant costing. Oh, this is this. Then you move on. Then you say, oh, which one should I? Oh, let me do limiting factor. Tick it. Then you start. You will be better than someone who just collect question and want to solve because it is a transfer pricing, right? So please, they require first. It's very what is very important. Now, let's quickly look at this question, right? You are required as the management accountant, explain briefly the concept of linear programming and usefulness of linear programming, usefulness of the model. We'll get to linear programming, right? We'll get there. This is 5 marks. Compute the price that will be adopted by the company for the two products using the company pricing policy. We are to determine the price, class. We are to determine the what? The company price. We are to determine the what? The company what? The company price, right? We are to determine the what? The company price. You can see in this question now, the question you should ask yourself, what is the company price? Prices, right? Based on the company policy. You pick that, right? Don't forget, linear programming is okay. We'll get there, sha. Advise the company on the output. You can see on the output, that is production mix or production mark or production plan, right? Right now, advise the company on the output that needs to be produced to maximize its total profits, supporting your answer with full financial analysis. That is, the question wants you to determine the production, the output, which is the plan, the mix, as well as that will maximize the profit. You need to as well determine the profit of the question, right? Now, explain the meaning of shadow price and comment on the usefulness and its what and its limitation, right? What is shadow price? The usefulness of what? Of a shadow price. Next, calculate the shadow price of the constraints. Calculate the what? The shadow price constraints limiting factor. Now, assuming the company position is maintained for the 3 year with an investment of 45 million on the day of the commencement of manufacturing business, using the cost of capital of 15%, can this venture be justified for the period? What is the break-even discount factor for this project? Right, they've actually included capital project here, right? Of course, we'll get there, but we can do it. We'll do it in this question, right? We'll attempt it in this question, right? So, class, we already understand the required, right? The first required is talking about linear programming. We will get to linear programming where you will understand why do we have to use linear programming. Linear programming is used, let me just mention it here, but we will still treat it in full, right? Linear programming is when it is used when there are more than one limiting factor. When you have more than one limiting factor, right, you can use linear programming to determine the production mix, right? You can use linear programming, right? You can use linear programming to determine what is it called, the constraints. You can use it in business. We'll get to that part, right? I will just mention it, so we'll treat linear programming in full, right? That is 5 marks. So our focus is compute the price that will be adopted by the company for the two products using the company policy. Now, we'll now go back and read the question in full. We'll analyze this question. Class, are we still together? Are we still together?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay. Attended a seminar. If you have the question, you can follow. Attended a seminar titled Optimizing Scarce Resources, Utility in the Manufacturing Settings, with particular reference to linear programming, right? With particular reference to what? Linear programming. On this return, After 3 days of the program, right? After 3 days of the program, class, are we still there?
We are with you. Go on, great, sir.
Okay. I'm actually coming now. Away. Just a minute, please. I'm just trying to. Okay, interesting. Oh, like it or not. So, where are we? Okay, on his return after 3 days of the program, he called for a management meeting to discuss his experiences at the seminar in view of the board decision to produce two major products in the coming years. The following information are made from the work of a research team earlier conducted by a group of external research experts. The expected products are Biggies and Smallies. Biggie and Smallie. The expected cost statistics are as follows. You can see this. The cost. There are two products, Biggies, Smallies, right? Now, material costs class. This is 5 kg per unit, 50 naira per kg. Multiply by this, we give you the cost, material cost, which is 2250 naira per unit. This is the material cost. The same thing applicable to this. This is 3 kg per unit, right? How much will it cost? It will cost 50 naira per kg. This times this will give you the cost, which is 150 naira per unit, and so on. Then we have the labor cost. The labor cost, we have the machine time, which is 4 hours. This is 4 hours per unit. Multiply by this, we have 16 naira per unit. You can see the labor hour, right? The same thing applicable to other processing time, right? Now, the company policy. Now, what is the company policy? The company expects to maintain a pricing that is inked on total cost of production plus 20% markup cost. This is the company policy. This is what? This is the company what? This is the company policy. The company policy is that it will be 20% markup on costs when they are to determine the pricing, right? The pricing. The company further expects to incur annual period overhead. Look at the overhead cost of 10 million with normal production expectation. The production expectation for Biggies, 200 units. Please, this question is interesting. Please pay attention, right? 100 units of Smallies, right? Absorbing the overhead on the basis of 3 to 2 basis respectively. What it means is that their overhead will be shared between the Biggies and Smallies. And this overhead will be absorbed on the basis of 3 to 2, which means that Biggies we have 3, 2 for Smallies, right? Now, you can see the production units, expected production units for the two products. You can as well see the production overhead, and you can see the basis of absorbing the overhead. Now, it is expected that in the forthcoming year, the company will have the following resources available. You can see our resources that is available. Class, you can see the resources that is available. We need to know the resources that have a limiting factor, right? We need to know the resources that have what? Limiting factor by comparing the what? The required and the available, so that we will know the one that have what? Limiting factor, right? But don't forget that our question, the first question is compute the prices that will be adopted that will be adopted by the company. So before we move to the C part of this question, talking about the output, now we need to compute the price. The prices will be based on the company policy. See, class, when they say prices means that the selling price, the pricing policy. We will get to pricing decision. Yes, pricing decision. Well, after all the whole what is it called? Decision making, we'll get to where we'll now do after linear programming to pricing decision, right? Pricing what? Pricing decision. Now you can see the company is expected to maintain a pricing policy. So they are talking about if they say pricing, that is the selling price. Don't forget that you will have markup and margin. Markup is on what? Markup is on costs, right? While margin is on what? Is on sales. Is that not so? Now, don't forget that from our elementary knowledge, right? Right? What is it called? Costs. We could say, okay, cost plus profit is equals to selling price. And we can as well say, selling price minus cost. You have your profits, right? From our elementary what? Knowledge, of which that is what we will do here tonight, right? Now, we need to what is the cost? Let's get the cost. So when you get the cost, then we can now apply 20% to get our what? To get our profit. So profit, don't forget it also. Profit plus your profit plus your costs will give you selling price. Your profit that you will make, right? Plus the cost that you will incur. That is what will determine your selling price. When you add these two together, you will now say, oh, you want to sell these goods 15 naira. That 15 naira you are selling that goods, it is inclusive of your cost and your what? And your profit. Class, am I communicating?
Yes.
Now, suggested solution, we'll start with B. Suggested solution. Should I do it here? Okay, that's fine. Suggested solution, right? Guess what? We have enough time, right? We have enough time. Biggies. See biggies like this. Biggies. Let me see this. Helen. Biggies. Okay. Biggies and smallies. Okay. Biggies, smallies. So we bring in the costs because we have to determine the selling price, the costs. So we have material cost, Abi. Class.
Yes.
Okay. Material cost. Please screenshot this part. So I will just ask you the cost. If you don't have the material, screenshot. Okay. Material cost. This is B. Sorry, I need to follow the normal protocol. Please, your presentations matters, right? Your naira sign is very important. Material. So what is the material cost for biggies? Quickly.
Naira.
You say
250.
250.
250.
250. 250 naira per unit.
250.
Okay.
Yes.
Next,
Smally 150.
150. Okay. 150. Okay. What other material we have? We have labor.
Labor 60 naira for biggie.
Under labor, we have under labor. What do we have under labor?
Biggie 60
Machine hours.
machine hours.
Okay, that is what I want to hear. Machine hours.
60 naira.
60 naira. Okay. Next.
Smally 30 naira. Smally 30
Smally.
naira.
Okay, 30 naira.
Then
Next.
under other processing time.
Okay, other
OTP
processing.
processing time. 40
Other
naira and
processing.
50 naira time.
Okay. 40 naira.
And 50 naira.
40 naira and 50 naira. Now, which other cost do you think we can add to this? Because when you want to sell your product, you will consider all costs. Which other cost do
Variable
you
cost.
think? Variable
Variable.
cost is there. Variable cost is
Variable
there
value.
already. Variable cost is there already. Your labor, your material are all your variable costs, right? Are all your what? Your variable costs. So from this question now, let's quickly go back. From this question now, which other cost do you think we can bring in as part of your costs? Don't forget that when you want to determine your selling price, it is all your costs. We've determined the material, the machine, the other processing. Which other costs are we including here?
Fixed overhead.
Thank you. Fixed overhead, because class, it is logical reasoning, class. It is what? Logical reasoning. You have a product now. You want to sell a product. Maybe let me use Abuja for instance, or Idumota, Lagos. Don't let me use Idumota because I think Lagos, we have more of Lagos people here, right? So let me say you rented a shop to sell a product, and the cost of this product, the selling price of this product is 50 naira. Now, that 50 naira is inclusive of your rent. You've added your rent, one, which is your overhead or your indirect cost, and you will also add the cost you use in producing that material, in producing that product, which is your what? Which is your variable cost, right? So we need to add our overhead, but there is a problem here. What is the problem? The problem is that the overhead will be based on 3 to 2. 3 is for biggies and 2 is for what? Smallies. Now, how do we apportion this? How do we
It's on
apportion
rate to
this?
2. Yeah.
3 to 2, right?
3 over.
Okay. The apportionment is 3:2. Is that also 3 for biggies and 2 for what? Smallies. Now we'll go back to we'll go back to what is happening to my system now? So we'll go back to our ratios, right? We'll go back to ratios. Just a minute. I don't know what is happening to my system. What is happening now? Okay. Why? Okay. Now, what we will do is that we'll take What we will do is that we will just do 3. Okay, that's fine. It's better like that. Better. Sorry, please. Just let me, it's better. Can, sorry, minutes. That's not minutes. Oh, you have to give me this figure again. Sorry. Okay, sorry, quickly. Okay, machine hours, machine, give me the figure again, sorry. Hello?
60 machine hour, 60/30.
60/30. That is 60 naira per unit and 30 naira per unit. So what of other processing?
Yeah. 40,
40 what?
50.
Thank you. So if we want to apportion the fixed overhead, what happened now? Fixed overhead.
That's all I need now. You having an heart attack.
Meet your mic, please. Now, don't forget that the cost given to us is per unit, right? It is what? Per unit. And the fixed overhead is a million. First, let's quickly get the apportionment first. Let's quickly get the apportionment first. 10 million, 3 to 2, right? 3 to 2, quickly. 3 to 2. We are wasting time on this stuff. Let me do the workings here. Fixed overhead, right? Biggies, right? 3 to 2, right? 3 plus 2, that is 5. Is that not so? So 3
Yes, sir.
divided by 5
Yes.
times the 10 million. We give you the
That's 6
portion.
million.
That is what?
6
6
million
million.
for biggies and 4 million for
Thank you.
smallies.
6 million. This will be 6 million. Why smallies will be 2 divided by, you can see how we apportion it, right? And it is what it is. Just add the stuff together, you have your answer, you move on. This is 4 million, but still we can't use this figure here because this is cost per unit. Class, we can't use this figure here because this is cost per unit. Is that not so? This is cost per unit. So what should we do? If we have something like this, what should we do? This is 6 million. And all these
Divided
are
by
in
number of
cost.
units produced
Thank
for
you.
Biggie.
Thank you. So you divide it by the units. Divide it by the units so that you get the fixed overhead cost per unit. So we go back and check.
200,000.
Thank you. We'll go back and check. Right? So this is it. Class, this is it. 200,000 units for biggies and 100,000 units for smallies. Right?
That's it.
So we go back and say 200 divided by 200 units.
That's 30
200
naira
units, 30 naira per unit.
per unit.
So this is
And then the
100
other one is 40 naira.
units. This is 40 naira per unit. Right? So we can come back and say this is 30 naira. Why this is what? 40 naira. You could be wondering when you see the solution, you could be wondering how now? How did they get this figure? Right? So class, what is the total cost? What is the total cost? What is the total cost? Adeyemi, please always mute your mic, please.
Apologies, sir.
That's fine. So what is the total cost? What is the total cost in units? Quickly, we still have a lot of things to
Okay,
do.
there is 380
You say
for biggies.
for biggies is what?
380 for biggie.
380.
380.
Okay, next. Fumi, are you still in this
Then
class?
270 for smallies.
670.
370.
Okay, 370. Fumi.
Sorry, 270. 270.
Good evening.
Good evening. Are you still in this class?
270.
Yes, I am.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah,
Yes.
270. Okay. So if this is the total cost, so we'll apply the markup. Please, you can apply the markup straight. I will teach you something now, right? Markup. The markup is 10%. We'll go back because markup is on cost. You can apply 10% immediately, right? So what is the cost? Okay, it's 20%, sorry. The markup is 20%, right? It is what? 20%. Class. It is what? 20%. So since it is markup is on cost. Class. What is the 20% of 380?
76 naira.
76 naira. 76. So this markup, this is your profit. This is your profit. Right? This will be your profit. So what do you have? Again, what do you have here?
54 naira.
54.
54. Now let me take you back to secondary school, or we'll go back to university days, right? Selling price. Selling price. Your cost, just like your profit or loss. In your profit or loss, right? Your total, your costs plus your profit will give you your sales. Your total cost plus your profit will give you the amount you will sell that particular product. So addition of these two, what do you have? Addition.
That's 130. Of which one? Sorry. Of which one? Okay.
380 plus 760. What do you have?
456.
456.
456. Next.
324.
324.
324. Right? So this is the selling price. But in another ways, right, this question may come in form of, this is just 7 marks. So imagine, this is just 7 marks. Imagine when you see this in exam, who can tell, tell me what will come to your mind when you see this question. I will go back to that side, right? So before I go back to that question, should in case, now let me do small analysis here. Markup, right? What is the formula? Markup is your cost divided by what? Class, markup, your cost divided by what? Margin your profits divided by selling price. Class, hello. Hey,
Huh?
Hello,
are
sir.
we still together like this?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, we are.
So
We are
when
with
if you
you,
want to
sir. Go
get
on.
your markup, if you want to get markup is cost divided by what? Margin is profit divided by the selling price, right? Your markup will be what? Okay, you will know now. Don't worry. Interesting. So you can see that
Divided by
this
profit.
is okay. Thank you. Now this is your profit divided by selling price. Is that not so? Now, if this question is on margin, you cannot use margin. You cannot use margin on costs, right? You cannot use margin on what? Cost. You need to convert that margin to markup, right? Now, why is it like that? Is because from this part now, if you want to get your cost price, class, if you want to get your cost price, it will be your selling price minus your profit, class. From this margin now, if you want to get your cost price now, your cost price, it will be equals to your selling price minus your what? Minus your profit, just like this. Selling price minus your profits. Class, selling price minus profits, you have your what? You have your costs, right? So when you are given what is it called? Margin, right? You need to convert that margin to markup, class, which means that you cannot use the 20% on the cost, right? You have to convert it. That your margin will not be, you can't use it like that. You have to convert it to have your cost. So therefore, if that would be the case, right, class, if that would be the case, let's say this is the 20%, let's say this is 20%, right? And margin is profit over selling price. And you need to get costs because you cannot use margin on cost. Now, the next thing is equals to your selling price. Don't forget, this is 20%, right? Now, this 20% represents 20 divided by 100. Your 20 is the profit. The selling price is the 100. The 20 is the profit. The selling price is the what? The 100 is the selling price. Now, for you to get the cost, because you cannot use margin on the cost, right? For you to get the cost price, you can now say, oh, your selling price will now be 100 minus what? Minus 20. So you cannot use what? 80%. So this 80% will be your cost. So that is the 80%. You will now use 80% on 380, assuming this question is on margin. Class, are we getting it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just needed to take us back to this part, right? Margin, this is the formula for margin, is that not so? And someone said, okay, the markup is cost divided by the what? The profits. Thank you. Profit, right? The same thing applicable to this. You cannot use markup on sales, right? Let's assume this is 20%, right? 20%. And don't forget, this 20%, it means that 20 divided by 100, right? Your cost is 20. Your profit is what? Your profit is what? Is 100, right? Now, in this case now, when you want to determine your selling price, don't forget, how do we determine the selling price now? The selling price will be equals to the profit plus the cost price. Class, your selling price is equals to profit plus the cost, right? Now, your cost here is 20. The profit is what? The 100 class. Your profit here, your cost here is what? This is your cost. Your cost is 20 and your profit is what? Is 100, right? So therefore, profit plus cost, you have 20 plus 100, which is equals to what? 120. So this 120 will now represent, you cannot use 120% on the what? On the margin, because you cannot use markup. With this now, you have converted your markup to margin, because you cannot use markup on margin. Class, you can see the logic I use. I say cost divided by profit. Cost is 20, profit is 100. Is that not so? Now, when you want to get your selling price, the sales is your profit plus cost. 20 plus 100, that is 120. Class, are we still together? Hello?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We're trying to absorb the whole thing.
No, don't worry, you get it. You get. So I'm just trying to, like, the worst case scenario, right? The worst case scenario. Don't forget, you cannot use margin. You cannot use, please mute your mics. Sorry. You cannot use, let me go back. You cannot use, maybe at the end of this class, so I will move on. See. Hello? Are we still together?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what is happening. My system. Interesting.